Things are gonna get crazy!
Most everyone's mad here.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of AniMat's Crazy Cartoon Cast. How are you all doing, everyone? I hope you all had a very nice week. I will say that mine was quite eventful, but still, it was really, really good. I will say that I ended up becoming a lot more social than usual. I won't go into too much context, but I will say it was a lot and it did leave me exhausted at the end of it all, but still, all the experiences that I've done have been absolutely worth it. And hopefully now with this week, we could go and get things back to normal, especially with this podcast, which, I do notice here, Meta Ralph being a new fish for this episode. Thank you so much. But with that said, also, yes, not only are we going to be turning back to normal this week, but also this podcast is going to be back to normal. It's not going to be like last time where the length of it is almost twice as long as a regular episode right there. No, but I will say for real though, that D23 special that I did with Logan was a great time overall, and it was very nice catching up with him. And I, in terms of the length though, I will say that is exactly what happens when you put two Disney nerds in one room discussing about all the things that have been announced at D23. So you do understand how it ended up being almost 4 hours long in terms of the stream itself. But with this episode, however, it is going to be a lot more different, considering that now we're back to our regular schedule, but we still have some very fascinating things to go and discuss. A lot of crazy things, but also a lot of fun things happening in the world of animation. So strap yourselves in. We are going to be in for a good time. So with that said, now I would like to pass this on to the chat wall, and I want to go and ask you all, are you ready for today's episode of AniMat's Crazy Cartoon Cast? Let me hear it, folks. Who is ready now? Let's see. Who is prepared? Yes. Okay, now I'm seeing the comments. All right. That's great to see. That is exciting. Oh, wow. I almost forgot about one thing. Someone in the chat actually did just remind me before we go and get things started. Yes, I want to go and inform you all that tomorrow at 4 p.m. Eastern on my Twitch channel, AniMat Live, I am going to be having another episode of What's in the Box. So I did manage to get a whole bunch of your letters and packages. So I'm going to go and open them up to see what questions and what stories are in store in there, as well as afterwards we can do a little bit of a Q&A where you guys can go and ask me whatever you may like. So with all that said, it is now time that we shall go with this episode of AniMat's Crazy Cartoon Cast to get things started. And with our first story that I have for you today, or actually with the first couple of stories, I got some trailers that I like to go and present to you all. And the first trailer that I have here is actually going to be for an upcoming indie animated feature. One that has a very fascinating story in terms of how this was made, especially with the fact that this was only created by one animator, or for the most part, this was made by one animator and one in-betweener also. But still, though, it is worth highlighting to see what's going to be in store next year. So, without further ado, let's go ahead and begin with our first story, as we're going to go and take a look at the trailer for the upcoming indie animated film, The Saga of Rex. that was the Saga of Rex, to which the movie will be starting its festival circuit in 2027. Now, the whole thing about the Saga of Rex is the fact that, like I mentioned before, this was mainly animated by just one person. And of course, with the assistance of an in-betweener. And this animator, who is pretty much the creator of this whole movie, is Michel Gangé. This is a Quebecer, a Quebec animator, and this guy actually has his name across numerous of prominent animated features over the years. This guy has actually worked in a whole bunch that you may be surprised to hear about. He actually has a bunch of credits for Don Bluth films. He's done a whole lot of work at Warner Brothers Animation back in the late 90s and early 2000s. He also did some work at Cartoon Network. He also worked at Pixar. He was also at Sony Pictures Animation for a bit for doing some work on Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. And there was also, just recently, he was at Skydance Animation for working on Ray Gunn, considering that he has been a longtime collaborator with Brad Bird. In fact, he has worked with Brad Bird since the very beginning with the Iron Giant. So that also played a key factor into how we saw him jumping from like different studios, like at Warner Brothers and then at Pixar and stuff like that. So this guy really has made a name for himself in many different studios with so much different work that he has done. And this is not even to mention some of the other things that Michel Gangé has done, including he's an artist also, a traditional artist, where he would have his work be presented in galleries. And not to mention that he's also an author. In fact, the whole thing with Rex right over here, it actually started out as a book or as a graphic novel. And the interesting thing about this is that, funny enough, it was actually Michel Gangé himself who contacted me to go and help promote the Saga of Rex. I mean, he was doing it with a bunch of different animation news outlets, and I was rather surprised to see that I was one of them. So I decided, hey, sure, why not? I'll go and mention this on AniMat's Crazy Cartoon Cast. It feels like a very interesting story. But to go into detail about that story itself, I actually got an email right over here, or actually it's on the email itself that Michel Gangé has sent me, which does have a description about the whole story of the making of the Saga of Rex. So I'm just going to go and read you right over here, in which it states, "The Saga of Rex is a feature-length, hand-drawn animated film created and directed by Michel Gangé, who spent 14 years bringing the project to life while continuing to do select work on major Hollywood feature films. During that time, he contributed to 6 other feature productions, using those projects to support the independent production while continuing to expand his own filmmaking skills. The story began in 1998 when Gangé self-published a 32-page black and white hardcover book, A Search for Meaning, The Story of Rex. The character later evolved into a series of graphic novel chapters published in Kazu Kibushi's acclaimed Flight anthology between 2005 and 2010. Image Comics subsequently published the complete story as the graphic novel The Saga of Rex in 2010. Gangé began developing the feature film in earnest following a successful Kickstarter campaign in 2012. Shortly afterwards, the film was optioned by Grid Animation in Belgium. Grid ultimately relinquished the option in 2018, and the IP and all rights reserved to Gangé. Free from the constraints of a traditional production structure, he embarked on an unusual experiment, making the feature himself with the assistance of a single in-betweener. That in-betweener, by the way, is his friend Seung Kim, which I believe is how you pronounce his name. I could be wrong. If so, I do apologize. But yeah, it is Seung Kim who is the in-betweener. And from there, the result is a film born from an intensely personal creative process, one in which Gangé created, design, and animate the film over more than a decade. He says, "I wanted to make the film that was in my soul. To do that, I needed to remove the commercial and transactional aspects of the process. The film became a pure form of expression, dictated by the story and by my own creative instincts." Gagné's career spans decades of work in animation and visual effects, including work on numerous major feature films. He is a BAFTA and Annie Award-winning animation filmmaker whose distinctive visual style has been seen across films, video games, comics, and more. And yes, he also develops designs for comics and stuff, or not just comics, but also for video games as well. Yet the Saga of Rex represents something fundamentally different, an attempt to create an entire feature film according to one artist's singular vision and on his own terms. The film is now nearing completion, with final sound work underway. Gangé plans to have the film completely finished by the end of this year, with festival screenings and release plans beginning in 2027. The August 21st trailer premiere marks the first major public unveiling of the visually finished feature film. So that's pretty much the whole story with the Saga of Rex and the whole production behind it. So it's basically one artist's pursuit to go and create an animated feature, mostly on his own. And if I may go and have a little moment to go and comment on the Saga of Rex, it is honestly very fascinating. And it's funny to mention how, yes, this is an indie animated feature, but when looking back at the whole thing, like, when you do take a look more of the whole, like, you know, the whole aesthetic with and the whole narrative with what they got with the Saga of Rex, it honestly reminds me so much of indie video games, or at least like a good portion of like those fantasy oriented indie video games, something like Hollow Knight or Mina the Hollower, for example. Basically the kind where you got like the cute protagonist, but then they go on this fantasy surrealistic like adventure that can be intimidating, has a little bit of horror that's into it. Like, it kind of gives me a little bit of that vibe also. Like, it reminds me so much where, like, you got, like, the cuteness aspect, and then you got, like, the freaky, surrealistic, almost horror-like element to it, where, in this case, blends sci-fi with... where like it blends both sci-fi and horror to see, like, not just with how this world is, but also how the little fox, whom I presume is Rex, meets up with this space otter animal like girl, where you kind of do have that cute relationship that's going on. But at the same time, like, there is some interesting aspects in terms of the world building and also a bit of the narrative that they deliver. But I think really the big highlight here, of course, is in regards to the animation itself. And considering that it's mostly just one person who did it, I gotta say, it really shows that Michel Gangé is a veteran animator with numerous of credits, because, wow, this thing, I will say, it definitely looks fantastic. This is a really nice looking animated feature. And not to mention, like, you see how smooth the movements are, and not to mention the great use of visual effects, which is one of Michel Gangé's like specialties that he has done in feature films. But you take a look at it, and it is very nice. Like, it really does look like a well-made animated feature. And not to mention something that is rather shocking of the fact that this was mostly made by one guy. I mean, this looks like it would require a whole team of animators in order to go and bring to life. But so far with what they have presented in this trailer, it definitely looks beautiful. It definitely looks like a great job right there. And I will say the trailer is actually quite effective for me to want to go and actually see the movie. Now I am positively curious to see what Michel Gangé has in store with this particular project. Now, when it comes to how it is going to be released, I mean, we'll wait and see, because like the email stated, this is only going to go and make its premiere in festivals, and it will only be much later afterwards if by chance it would be able to get picked up, because that could actually happen, because you got like those movies that are very well made where they would only be in festival circuits at first, but then you would get one major studio who would go and pick it up and either give it a limited release or put it up on streaming. A great example of what we've recently seen is with I Am Frank Elda, which used to be only shown in festivals and had a premiere in Mexico, but it wasn't until Netflix stepped in to go and give it a global release on its platform. So who knows, maybe in the future, we could see the same thing happen with the Saga of Rex, where it'll start off having its festival runs, where maybe it'll premiere at places like with Annecy is probably a good guess of where it could go and show up. But then afterwards, we'll see if there is a major studio that would want to go and distribute it either on their streaming platform or maybe give it like a limited theatrical run or something like that. I guess we'll wait and see. But overall, though, I will say this is very impressive with what we have seen with this trailer of the Saga of Rex. And if you're excited to go and check out the movie, then keep in mind it'll start its festival run in 2027. All right, now with that said, I would like to go and pass this on to the chat wall, and I want to go and ask you all, what do you think about the trailer of the Saga of Rex? Is this the kind of movie that intrigues you? Do you have any additional questions about it? Or do you disagree with me and you don't think this is going to be worth watching? Let me know what you all think. In fact, why don't we do something it's been a little while since we've done before? How about we go and make a little poll? So now I want to ask you, are you interested in seeing, hold on a sec, just need to make sure I wrote that properly, in seeing the Saga of Rex? Hold on a sec. Again, just need to make sure it's spelled correctly. So, all right, let's put in a yes, let's put in a no, and see what the chat has to say now. All right, so this has been one of these independent hand-drawn animated films I've been following throughout the years, along with Justin Murphy's Dogtown. While I watched others like Netflix's Klaus and the first episode of James Lopez's Hullabaloo, I'm more than motivated to do my own project with that medium because of this. Along with Gato and the Bluey movie, this is my most anticipated of 2027. Ooh, interesting. All right. This looks amazing. And the fact that it was made by one guy a la Solo is super impressive. It took him 14 years making the boyhood of animated films. The animation looks amazing, and I'm assuming that this will be silent except for music and pantomime. Just hoping that this doesn't get butchered by a stupid dub, but that's just the worst case scenario. Yeah, I don't know. I believe if there is a voice cast in this, then I believe, honestly, it would have already mentioned it. Like, they would, like, honestly, in my email that I got, or even in the trailer itself, it would have said, or it would have indicated if there are going to be actual voices that are featured. But for the most part, it looks like a lot of it is just gonna be in pantomime. I mean, again, like, our only first real taste of it is just through this trailer, so we're gonna have to wait and see with how the movie will ultimately be. But for the most part, from what they're indicating, I don't think there is a voice cast at all. I mean, really, the only actor that is in this is Michel Gangé himself, because after all, animators are just actors with a pencil. All right, let's see what else we got here. I'm not gonna lie, it's super cute and impressive. The 2D animation is so smooth and phenomenal. The animals look so adorable, especially the main fox, and I really love how they made it so action-packed and dark. The fact that one animator had worked on this for 14 years is impressive. I do hope it premieres on streaming and or in theaters next year, because this looks like it's gonna be awesome. All right, very nice. Let's see what other comments. I honestly didn't know about this movie until just recently, but this honestly looks really impressive. The animation looks absolutely beautiful, the characters and their designs look really cute, and the fact that this was animated by just one person and one in-betweener is really an accomplishment. So overall, this is very impressive so far, and I hope we will have a way to watch this in the future outside of festivals. Only time will tell, but I'm glad to see that it is making a great first impression right over here. Let's see any other comments to go and read. Actually, before that, speaking of which, by the way, it looks like it is unanimous and every person who has voted has said, yes, this has made you interested in seeing the Saga of Rex. So the trailer really did its job very well to go and impress people out there. That is great to see. All right, let's see what other comments we got. This is really good, especially for animation made by two guys. Yeah, I can understand why this took 14 years to make. Character designs are cute, really epic in scale, and great visual effects. AI could never. Animation takes time, and this is worth it. Oh, nice. Very good. Very good. Let's see. All the more of a testament to how their options for more original, non-franchises related animated projects. Sorry, I think I kind of stumbled on my own words here. I'll go and read that again. All the more of a testament to how their options for more original, non-franchise related animated projects. I shared this to Stefan Ellison's private Facebook group, along with several others, hoping to give some more attention to it from the other members. But I never would have guessed that this one would garner such attention that it has a shot in film festivals and even major releases as a potential bonus, but very well deserved for an animation fan. Well, I mean, okay, not everything is 100%. I'm just going to go and say right now, because when it comes to the festivals and stuff like that, that is so far Michel Gangé's plan in terms of the fact that he can go and actually execute that. I think it's a matter that we will have to wait and see. Let's see. I think I got time to read one more comment now. So let's see here. Okay. I'll go with this one then. I gotta say, for an independent film made by one person, let alone two if you include the in-betweener, to make something that looks like a spiritual successor to The Secret of Nim, maybe not exact, but it's something that repeats the history. It looks amazing, and I would say even inspiring, considering even someone like me would love to do that myself someday. I mean, if one person can do all this and come out this amazing, then who would doubt it's impossible? I'm anticipating seeing it already. All right, very nice and good comparison, actually. It does have a little bit of that Secret of Nim vibe. That is true. So once again, I just want to go and let you know to go and keep an eye out for the Saga of Rex next year for when it will do its festival circuit. And who knows, maybe it could come to a film festival near you. All right, so with that said, we're going to go on to our first break. And when we do come back, we got one more trailer to watch. But this one, however, this ain't an indie movie. This is definitely one of the more mainstream animated features. But I gotta say, this is definitely a lot bigger than the Saga of Rex. And I mean the kind where the craftsmanship requires much more than one person and an in-betweener to be involved. So stay tuned for that. Welcome back. Now, moving on to our next story, we got another trailer to go and check out. But this one, however, is something that animation fans consider to be one of their most anticipated animated movies. In fact, when it comes to this studio in particular, it's been quite a while since we have seen them release a movie. In fact, the last time was I think back in 2018 with Missing Link. So yeah, it's been a good 8 years since their last feature. But now that they're officially coming back to the big screen, they are really going to be coming back in a big way. In fact, I would even argue it's probably their biggest movie yet, especially with what they have presented in this trailer. So without further ado, let's go ahead and move on to our next trailer, as we shall go and check out, the trailer for the upcoming Laika animated movie, Wildwood.
They told me what happened to you. Didn't know I was lost.
That was Wildwood, what we have just seen right here, to which the movie shall be released on October 23rd. Now, I know that technically this is not the first time that we have talked about Wildwood here. In fact, I did discuss about the teaser trailer when that came out a few months back. But there is something that I do want to go and mention again. I know that I previously made this comment with the teaser trailer of Wildwood, but when looking at this trailer right over here, one thing that for me that really does stand out is just the scale of this entire feature. And a big reason why I want to go and highlight the scale of this, and ooh, look at that. Oh, a gifted sub to Nostalgiamation. Oh, well, whoever is the anonymous user, well, thank you so much. We got some new fish going on here. That is great to see. But anyways, back to what I was talking about. Yes, in terms of the scale, they really are presenting this like a big movie, but at the same time, one thing that really does stand out, like the reason why I want to highlight the scale is mainly because of the fact that from watching this, it really does feel like with, mainly with what they want to go and do with this feature, is that it really feels like Laika wants to go and get Best Picture. Because honestly, I look at this with the way that they frame this as like this epic battle that is currently going on. Like, hold on, especially with this moment, like right over here, where you got like the wolves versus the warriors and stuff like that. It feels like what the people at Laika want to do is try to make this the animation equivalent of, oh my goodness, wow, I just got an explosion right over here of, I just noticed like an explosion of gifted subs, like, holy crap. Okay, yeah, by the way, I might as well go and just lower the volume over here, just in case, because chances are we're going to be hearing a lot of new fish that's going to be going on over here. Hopefully it won't be too annoying right there, but wow, like Akio man, thank you so much for all those gifted subs. Like, wow, that is honestly shocking to go and see. But anyways, back to what I was talking about. Yeah, so going back into Wildwood, the big thing is that, yeah, it really does feel like it wants to be this big epic movie on the levels of what we have just seen with Christopher Nolan's The Odyssey, really going all out to present like this massive battle, like to present this world as absolutely grand and making the action absolutely as epic as it can be. Like, continuing this clip right over here as it goes on, like you see like literally just hundreds of these warriors fighting against each other and fighting against anthropomorphic animals, and not even to mention presenting the wide variety of different character designs, with the fact that with the inclusion of anthropomorphic animals that are featured, like, we got all sorts of different characters that are going to be presented. Like, one major thing that you could tell that Wildwood really wants to go and highlight is the craftsmanship of it. It's especially the fact that this is a stop motion feature trying to go and capture the scale of a cinematic epic, as if it, like I said, as if it really wants to go and try to grab that Best Picture nomination or even a Best Picture win during award season. Like, they really want to go all out with this. It does make me rather curious. I mean, maybe it was already reported, but I am wondering about what the budget is on this one, because they must be going all out. Like, we're talking about Disney levels of a budget, because something like this honestly looks like it would, like, I would guess maybe like a $200 million budgeted movie, or maybe like 250 million. I mean, like, keep in mind, this is from Laika, which is owned by Travis Knight and his dad Phil Knight, so they're billionaires. They could definitely go and afford a movie of that magnitude right over here. And I will say, in just like this year alone, I will, or not just this year, but also, like, to go into a little bit of the details, like, when it comes to the world building, it does also give me a little bit of that vibe of Princess Mononoke, funny enough. I know that technically we already got a Princess Mononoke type movie earlier this year with Pixar's Hoppers, but this one, however, Wildwood seems to want to go and really take itself a lot more seriously. Like, it wants to go and, like, mainly focus on telling its story more so than to go and provide like goofy gags like Hoppers did. And by the way, this is not to go and slam on Hoppers. I love the movie. It's one of my favorite films this year. I'm just doing a contrast where Wildwood has a different approach than with Hoppers, but it's especially the case in terms of not just with the tone, but also with trying to capture that narrative with the way that it just wants to go and it wants to go out of its way to actually to go and highlight the environmental message of it, that it's basically humans versus nature, in which you got the human side, which is led by the antagonist, basically a sympathetic villain who lost her son and has made her go a little bit insane, including stealing Prue's little brother in order to try to fill that hole that is in her heart. And on top of that, wanting revenge against nature, where we are going to see like that big clash of man versus nature over here. And on top of that, like on top of like the beautiful animation that we have seen, on top of the Princess Mononoke vibe that we got, that's also another great thing about this feature, is that we do see the heart, that we do get a little bit of a taste of how the characters are going to be, especially with Prue and the main villain, where it's about, like where we got the villain who is experiencing a lot of grief, and we also got Prue, who provides a lot of persistence, that she will do everything she can in order to go and actually find her baby brother who got kidnapped by a bunch of crows. So from there, I do see a lot of great potential. And it's funny because, like, at first, a lot of people would go and point out of how this was like this, this is going to be the stop motion version of Jim Henson's Labyrinth. And it is true that you could still say that there are those parallels in terms of those parallels in terms of the narrative that they are delivering. But honestly, after watching this trailer, I feel like we are seeing so much more than something that's that's similar to Labyrinth. In fact, I could even dare say that I kind of see that it's doing more of its own thing, a lot more than just trying to be like Labyrinth in a sense, where it does, where in this trailer especially, it focuses so much on its own world building. It focuses a lot on its character, it focuses a lot on its characters. It focuses a lot on its craftsmanship with the animation. And again, just by focusing on trying to present this as this cinematic epic in here, it definitely does make it a feature that is really worth hyping up about. Like, no question about it. This is easily one of my most anticipated movies for the rest of this year. And honestly, I feel like this is like, if all goes well, I can easily see this among one of the best animated movies of 2026. Maybe even something that could be on par or even surpass with what we have already gotten with Toy Story 5. So this is already very exciting to see what's going to be in store with Laika. And if you are excited for Wildwood, then keep in mind that the movie shall be released in theaters on October 23rd. All right, now with that said, now I would like to go and pass this on to the chat wall. And I want to go and ask you all, what do you all think about this trailer of Wildwood? Are you guys excited to go and check it out? Do you guys have any criticisms that you would like to go and express about it? Let me know what you all think. All right. Wow, is the new fish thing still going? Oh my goodness. It's not giving up, is it? Oh my goodness. Okay. Anyways, let's see what the chat wall has to go and say over here. All right. Okay, I want to see it, but I still can't feel like I shouldn't see it without knowing if the animator's conditions have changed. Wildwood looks gorgeous, and I think we all need to give credit to the animators and artists at Laika. Instead of seeing it in theaters, let's make it a fundraiser. However much we would spend on a ticket for the movie, let's collect all of that and divide it so that the animators actually get the profits. I had this idea with Legend of Aang or Avatar Aang because the animators deserve everything. Yeah, and I know that with I know with a lot of other people, like this is bound to be mentioned because yes, considering that this is made at Laika Studios, there is a little bit of controversy with it, mainly because of the fact that, well, Laika is unfortunately anti-union, especially with the fact that it is run by billionaires like Phil and Travis Knight. So from there have previously been reports of controversial working conditions that have been going on. So I don't know. Again, I would love to know how things are in terms of how things have been in with the making of Wildwood, and if the conditions have actually improved in terms of how animators were treated during the making of this picture. But with all that said, though, I mean, I will say in terms of the final product itself, like it definitely looks very promising, but I do understand the concerns in terms of how it was made and also with the working conditions. So there is that right there. All right. Let's see what other comments do we have. This trailer looks absolutely incredible, and it looks like it is going to be a great comeback for Laika in theaters. The story seems very engaging and could be very heartwarming. The animation is absolutely beautiful, and the characters seem very interesting. So overall, this has so much potential, and if this movie plays its cards right, it could potentially be considered for Best Animated Feature at the Oscars, alongside Hoppers and Toy Story 5. it could definitely get a strong shot at it. I mean, Laika has a very great track record in terms of being nominated again and again at the Oscars. I believe Missing Link also did get a nomination as well, alongside with the rest of the other Laika movies. You can go and correct me if I am wrong on that. So, yeah, I mean, honestly, like, it's not going to be until much later that we could go and start talking about the next award season, but it definitely looks promising, and it definitely looks like it could be a contender right there. All right, so let's see, what else do we have here? What other comments are there to go and read? Okay. I'll go with this one. This trailer looks very much spectacular that now I will say, sorry for swearing, Laika's back, bitches, baby! The story is very epic, including the battle scene that they did wonderful. The animation is very nice, like the puppet musculature of the characters, including the general. And the music for this trailer, that means that I am going to have a wild ride. Also, something that is so cool is McDonald's, SpongeBob, and One Piece global Happy Meal collaboration rolling out this month. Oh yeah, there is that thing that's going on. Someone is asking if we should do a poll. I don't think we need it, because I feel like whatever question I may ask, it's going to be 100% in favor of Wildwood. Like, I can already see all the signs that people are very much excited to go and check this movie out. I mean, maybe someone will go and prove me wrong, but, or like maybe one person or two, but still though, I can already tell from the chat wall that there is a lot of hype for this feature. Let's see what other comments are there. Okay, I'm totally sold. The movie is more than just an epic craftsmanship odyssey. It has many intertwined themes: broken families, co-living with nature, warped myths, mixing magic with realism. I will get ready to buy tickets as soon as it will be on the billboards in France, especially if it will be in IMAX theaters. I'm in the starting block and ready to be wild in these woods. All right. Let's see. This just looks chef's kiss. I feel like best case scenario, this might be Laika's equivalent to the Tale of the Princess Kaguya as the ultimate culmination of everything they've done and everything they've been building up to this point, especially after a big absence. If not, then hopefully it'll still at least be a really solid pick, because my hopes are pretty high right now. AI found dead in a ditch. Absolutely. Let's see. The fact that we're getting a new Laika movie was already reason enough to be excited, but of course this trailer took it to a whole new level. I can't wait to see it for sure, but I would heed caution to just one thing, apart from the controversy about how Travis Knight reportedly runs the studio. Let's hope that it doesn't get too caught up in pursuing the Best Picture Oscar. Let's it fall prey to a similar shortcoming to Pocahontas. Yeah, I do get it. I mean, that's going to be a factor that we're going to have to wait and see. All right, so let's see now. I have mentioned this before that I'm looking forward to see Wildwood. I should also mention that Hex directors like Fawn Vera Sunthorn and Josie Trinidad are also extremely hyped about this as well. Really shows how much the animation industry truly loves animation, unlike a certain group you have to talk about. But yeah, I'm sure everyone will check this out and not sleep on it. Hopefully so. I mean, it is a stop motion feature, and usually that has a track record of not doing great at the box office, but who knows? Maybe something like Wildwood can actually help things out in order to turn things around. So ultimately, we're just going to have to wait and see on that. I think I got time to read a few more comments, so let's see if there's anybody I'm missing here. No, I did. Okay, I think it's only one more, and then we can move on to... or no, actually, okay, I think I found two that I can go and read. All right, so let's see here. I am very hyped for this one, especially for Laika's return. The stop motion animation is phenomenal as always, the story sounds very deep, and I really love the choice of song they put for this trailer. As a major fan of Laika, I am beyond excited to watch this in the theater. Definitely gonna check it out when October comes. It'll definitely be a top contender to be a serious competitor at the Oscars if possible. All right, very nice. I didn't think this movie needed a second trailer to get me excited, but it's still great to see more and know what to expect. I would say this looks even better than Jim Henson's Labyrinth, especially all the stop motion action makes it look intense yet very beautiful. It looks like Clayface is going to have some competition, and also, it's exciting when the hype train is in full swing. All aboard. All right, so safe to say that people are very much excited to see what's in store, and I mean, I could speak for myself also that I am very much hyped up for this. This is one of my most anticipated movies in terms of what's going to be coming up. I mean, alongside Coyote vs. Acme, Hex, Forgotten Island, and a few others, I am also especially hyped up with what's in store for Wildwood. And if you guys are excited to see what's going to be in store with this feature, then keep in mind that the movie shall be coming out on October 23rd. All right, so with that said, we're going to go on to our next break. And when we do come back, hopefully there will be a little less new fishes that are going to be happening because, oh boy, I don't think I've ever had a moment where I would keep having like all these new fishes like just come in again and again and again and again like that. Hopefully it wasn't too distracting from the discussion I had with Wildwood. But when we do come back, we're going to go back into the animation news portion, and we're going to start things off with a controversy that happened at the same time as D23 last week. So tune in, and we'll be right back after this. All right, welcome back. Now, when it comes to our next story, this is technically an older piece of animation news, considering that this has happened around the same time as D23 last week. However, this was something that I wanted to go and save up, mainly because of the fact that I feel like it's worth discussing about the problem that this has been going on. And I feel like nowadays, this is starting to become more and more of a thing. And that I don't know if it's either just me, but, we need to go and highlight that something needs to be done about this. And what I'm talking about is with leaks. And the latest addition to go and have a leak problem is none other than Spider-Man Beyond the Spider-Verse. Yes, last week, it was confirmed that the highly anticipated sequel, Spider-Man Beyond the Spider-Verse, ended up receiving a leak online. Now, there have been a few different variations of what people said, what specifically has been leaked. This article here from Variety stated that it was a leak of the trailer of the movie that is yet to be ready. Some people are saying that it's just a few minutes of the feature itself. Either way, it looks like when it comes to Beyond the Spider-Verse, that has also managed to get leaked and to have the footage be presented where else? On Twitter. And the only thing that has been commented or any further reports about what has happened here is that Chris Miller, the co-writer and one of the producers of the film, did put out a comment about what has happened here. As he states, reading from my source on Variety, not a fan of leaks of unfinished, not fully rendered footage. And of course, out of respect for the animators out there, I'm not going to go into details about what is in store in that trailer, or I'm not going to go and say what was revealed in the leaks. And a big part of why I'm not doing so also is because, well, I haven't seen them myself. I don't know what's in those leaks in the first place, so I can't tell you what it is. All right, but anyways, with that said, however, the reason why I wanted to go and bring this up and why is it that, I saved up an older piece of animation news for this is mainly because I wanted to go and raise the question, is it just me or do I feel like this year more than ever, we have been seeing leaks actually becoming common, where there are those hackers where they're going to find their way to grab something that is supposed to be a secret in studios, and then they would go and immediately post it onto Twitter, because now it's starting to feel like this is happening again and again and again. And especially this is going on in terms of highly anticipated projects that are out there. Now, some people might go and argue that this is in relation to the piracy problem that some could say it has been going on more than ever. But I would argue that the thing with piracy, though, is that at least piracy can have the courtesy of waiting until the thing is officially released. Like, once there is a way that it is out, whether it be in theaters or out on digital or out on streaming and something like that, at least it is officially out there where the public can go and officially consume it. So at least, it's all, it is presented, it is ready, everything is on schedule with this project, and now the secrets are all revealed, which is why with piracy, it's not necessarily as bad as some of the other actions out there, including leaks. Because the thing with leaks is that the release of that is not planned. It's not scheduled. This is not something that either the studios or the people working on it have intended to go and do. These are people whom, without consent, would go out of their way to take those unfinished things, and they would just go and fully present it on the internet for the public to see. So that would go and cause a lot more of an emergency. And yet, even with the lessons that we have learned about why leaks are immoral, why they are bad, and why they are harmful for the people making the feature, is that now we're just starting to see that happen again and again and again. I mean, even in this article right over here, like, it even acknowledged that Twitter has a serious leak problem, where they even stated that the Odyssey and Spider-Man Brand New Day found its way to getting leaked on Twitter. Now, granted, this happened after they were theatrical release, but the fact that they did get leaked in the first place, that is still quite a major problem. But it's not just in regards to that, however. It's not just in regards to Spider-Man Beyond the Spider-Verse, but even in terms of some of the other animated projects that they have gotten leaks, and they have gotten a lot of trouble because of that. Probably the most prominent example that we have seen is with Avatar Aang, where back in April, that ended up getting the whole movie itself ended up getting fully leaked on the internet, where one person got it and decided, you know what, I'm just going to show, I'm going to go and present like little bits and pieces of it and see how people would react. And then suddenly there were a few others that would go and immediately post the entire feature. And that ended up becoming a massive mess, where it was originally supposed to be released in October. And then we got that big schedule change where we got it much sooner, in which the movie ended up being released in Paramount Plus in July. And not to mention, we see like the different reactions that's been going on, where you got the cartoon community that they think that they're the heroes taking down Paramount because of their decision of not releasing it in theaters. And then you also got the animators who ended up receiving the short end of the stick in all this, where where the years of hard work that they put in was all for nothing. And this is not even counting the whole controversy related to how one person may have used AI or used ChatGPT in terms of the research when creating the designs of the characters. So there is all that to go and factor in, where that whole leak ended up causing a massive mess onto Avatar Aang, where in a way it kind of ruined its release, and it ultimately made it a lot less of a spectacle when that feature ultimately came out. So really, it was a moment where everybody lost in that entire situation. But it's not just with that one, though, because then immediately afterwards, you also got the whole controversy with there's also, what was it again? Yeah, the amazing digital circus, The Last Act, where just before it was officially released in theaters, there was one person who went and leaked a Brazilian version and pretty much revealed everything of how the series ended and stuff like that, and put out all the spoilers. And yet the most insane thing is that there are some people out there who were massively upset about all this, but not because of the fact that it got leaked and spoilers suddenly roamed free on the internet before the official release of The Last Act. But there were also people who got massively upset at Gooseworks, the creator of the Amazing Digital Circus, because of some of the creative choices that she ultimately made in The Last Act. So instead of being pissed instead of being pissed at the leakers, they got pissed off at Gooseworks for their own stupid fanboy entitled reasons. So again, like, we have already seen the examples that have happened when leaks would go and occur. They would end up causing a lot more trouble than they do good. And plus, the ones who end up getting harmed the most in all this are the creators, the people actually making these projects, the people behind the scenes. And nowadays, we're starting to see this again and again. And it unfortunately really highlights an aspect, like, especially with the fact that it's on Twitter, is that people who still unironically use Twitter today, they obviously don't care about the people behind the media that they consume. I mean, this is exactly with what I talked about in my miniseries about the cartoon community. It's the fact that, and this is especially the case with those who use Twitter, where they care more about the product itself than the well-being of the people behind the scenes. Like, they just have absolutely no empathy whatsoever, because there's ultimately nothing to go and gain when you would go and consume leaks like that. Like, what do you gain? What is it that you're, what are you winning from all this? What is it that you ultimately get where you end up seeing something that is that ended up being released much earlier than what was supposed to be planned and stuff like that? Because right now, like, we're seeing right now, like, especially with the case of this one right here with Spider-Man Beyond the Spider-Verse, the ones who ultimately end up getting the short end of the stick are the people making the feature, where they want to save the surprises for when the time is right. But then suddenly the leak happened, and now, like, people are just blindly consuming it because, as they are Twitter users, they're a lot more reactionary and just impulsively go and consume whatever they're being fed to them, regardless if it's AI or not. And from there, now, like, whatever surprises are not going to feel, they're not going to feel fresh by the time when it does officially come out. Again, it's kind of like with what we have seen with Avatar Aang, where the fanfare and whatever hype that may come with it, a lot of it has ultimately been ruined because of the whole leak that happened a few months prior. And honestly, even with this whole thing with Spider-Man Beyond the Spider-Verse, I just find, ultimately, I just find it to be pretty dumb and pointless ultimately. Like, it's not just a matter of, like, who's benefiting from seeing the leaked footage of the trailer of Spider-Man Beyond the Spider-Verse, but also, like, what's the end goal of it? Like, what are you even trying to accomplish in the first place? Like, what's the goal here? Like, really, this is at the point where, with social media and especially with Twitter, people have grown so desperate for engagement that they'll do whatever it takes, including unnecessary crap like this, where you would end up leaking footage to a highly anticipated feature that many people are excited for, and just straight up ruin the surprises for everyone. So yeah, ultimately, it's stuff like this why I condemn these leaks from happening again and again. And it's very unfortunate that nowadays it's becoming more common because, again, like rather it be with what we have seen with Avatar Aang or The Amazing Digital Circus, The Last Act, or Spider-Man Beyond the Spider-Verse, what do you gain from this? What do you gain from leaking footage from something that isn't planned to come out soon? Or what do you gain from people watching it? Like, what's the end goal here? Like, what are you even trying to do? What are you even trying to prove? Like, there's honestly no reason whatsoever to go and do this. And it's honestly shameful, really, because this is like, at best, this is just disrespect for the people behind the scenes of it. It's unfortunate to see how people who use Twitter and terminally online trolls are becoming less and less empathetic, and their actions have not only become more dangerous, but also a lot more sociopathic. Like, they're pretty much making it clear that they don't care who they're hurting in the process, just so as long as they get the engagement and the likes and the views and all that kind of crap, then they're just pretty much settled. So in that regards, it's honestly, it's a bit ridiculous with all this going on. So I just thought I would go and express my thoughts on the whole matter. But yeah, like, honestly, I feel like the leaked situation, it's starting to get pretty ridiculous. All right, so with that said, now I would like to pass this down to the chat wall, and I want to go and ask you all, what do you think, or what is your opinion on the whole controversy with the Spider-Man Beyond the Spider-Verse leak? I would love to know your thoughts on the matter, and also, if there are anybody who have actually seen the leaked footage, if you're guilty, I'd like to know if you would go and admit it or not. So let's see what's going on over here. All right, so I was honestly shocked by the fact that Beyond the Spider-Verse got leaked. While I thankfully did manage to avoid it, the fact it got leaked and people are blindly watching it, it shows that people don't care about those who work on these projects and how these leaks are just bad, to quote Squidward. Nobody gives a care about the fate of labor as long as they can get their instant gratification. Absolutely, man. It's just true. You know, it's like sad but true words right there. Anyways, this is honestly the first time I've heard about the Spider-Verse leak, and I'm glad that I avoided out of respect for the crew making the film. I guess it's the first time hearing about this because the GTA 6 leak news were everywhere online, overshadowing this. But yeah, there's been a lot of leaked stories happening this year, and all of these folks on Twitter are what they're doing is hurting the artists. All they want is engagement. Yeah, honestly, I'm going to go and say this right now. I know it sounds surprising, but honestly, I was not aware about the GTA 6 leak. I mean, I did see people talking about GTA 6 as of late, but I didn't know specifically what it was all about. I didn't know that it was actually because of a leak or anything like that, which, I mean, I guess it's kind of a good thing. I think this is a rare case of like ignorance is bliss, because I don't know what was leaked in the first place, so at least like I'm still keeping all the surprises to myself just in case. But for real though, like, yeah, and this is not just limited to animation, of course. I mean, as I mentioned, this is also something in which live action has also gotten this problem with what I've said with the Odyssey and Spider-Man Brand New Day, and even with games. When there is something that is highly anticipated, you know there are going to be those sociopathic people who would go out of their way and just straight up leak the thing and put out as much information for the sake of getting engagement. Like that, this is why the social media mind has become more and more dangerous over the years. Like now we're starting to be at the point that with these leaks, people are just crossing they're just crossing the path to just borderline criminal activity just for the sake of attention. Let's see what we got. Those leaks are just very wrong and heartbroken for the creators and animators, including this. This is not the first time that Sony is facing this kind of problem. There was the 2014 Sony hack where they leaked employee emails, personal and family information, executive salaries, copies of then unreleased films, future film plans, screenplays, and other information. We need to do something about this new and complicating problem. We need to call the calls to do something like the alleged leakers. Yeah, honestly, I don't know if there is going to be any action that will happen after this. Like, I don't know if it's going to be the case like with Avatar Aang, where they managed to find the guy and actually arrested the leaker and sentencing him to prison. I don't know if that's going to be a similar case to that. But the fact that this is still going on, yeah, this is a bit of an issue. Well, let's see. Place your bets on what next animated movie is going to be leaked. That's going to be leaked. Seriously, I feel so sorry for the people behind the movie. They don't deserve this. They worked so hard on it, and then some asshole barged in and leaked this trailer. I'm really sick of this trope. P.S. Really excited to see your miniseries about the cartoon community after the final part is released, Matt. Oh, yeah, for the final part. Oh, yes. There is going to be a finale of all this, and just a bit of minor spoilers. Like, it's just going to be a short moment, but I will say you may see me at my angriest in front of the camera. So just a little heads up, like everything that I've talked about is all going to come home right at the end. So you will see. Anyways, let's see what other comments are there to go and read. Okay, I'll go with this one right here. To quote the genie in Aladdin and the King of Thieves, I think we got a little problem with leaks. This hacking is just a nasty game, nobody wins. However, one thing I would like to address is that I don't think Chris Miller is one to gripe about the hard work of animators being exposed before it is finished is disrespectful, considering his reputation for doing nothing to keep Phil Lord in check. Of course, I'll gladly retract the statement if they can prove that they have changed. Yeah, there is still that very awkward situation that is going on at Sony Animation and, the productions of Phil Lord and Chris Miller. So there is that too. And that thing is going to remain unresolved until we can get an answer of, has anything changed since then? All right, let's see what else we got here. First, I am hearing of this, which goes to show how good my rock hut is. As I mentioned before, I'm glad Coyote vs. Acme wasn't leaked, and this is another example of how embarrassment hurts every side involved. 2026 has been one insane year and prolonged season of leaks. Yeah, and I mean, we're only like, what, 2/3 of the way into this year, and there's still more to come? Oh, boy, yeah. I don't know. I'm not excited to see what other madness are we going to see on social media. Let's see. I'm guilty. I watched it, but I want to say I do care, and it sucks that it was leaked, but temptation got the best of me. But from what I saw, I'll admit, Across the Spider-Verse didn't click with me, so Beyond really has to nail this after taking so long from what I've seen. It's promising, I guess. Okay, so we do have one confession so far. So we do have one person stepping in going, "Forgive me, Father, for I have sinned." Okay, well, at least you did admit, at least you did admit to it. You did admit that you are wrong. So you can have some, you can have some forgiveness on that. Let's see. And plus the fact you didn't go into details of what is on the leak, so at least that is fine. Let's see. I'll check if we do have a few more to go and get into. I'll be honest, I tried to avoid the leaks of Beyond the Spider-Verse. I really did. But this news was so big that I kept seeing the leaked footage on TikTok and Instagram constantly. I feel so bad for the animators that all their hard work got leaked online. I still want to support their work. Animators deserve better than this. Exactly. Like when you see like, and sometimes like, I don't blame you because when it's on social media, like it's bound to go and like unexpectedly pop up. Like you could do the best you can in order to go and avoid whatever leaks and spoilers that would be said. But then you would get stuff like, as the commenter mentioned, like with either Instagram or TikTok, where you're just going to have the website just feed that for you, that they will go and like have the algorithm suddenly say like, hey, you like Spider-Verse? Here, you could go and check this out. So there is a bit of that. And so that's also another issue with these leaks, because the thing is that it's going to spoil it for everyone, regardless if they want to try to avoid it or not. So there is that problem also. Let's see now. What other comments are there going? Here, I'll see with this one right over here. I'll do two more and then we're going to go on our next break. Personally, I'm rooting for the new Simpsons movie being the highest grossing hand-drawn animated feature next year from the idea, plus a 20-year-old project. Sounds like a moneymaker to me. Back to the leak. Instagram has constantly spammed the Spider-Verse leak to the point that I had to delete the app for a day. Stop being greedy batches or biatches, internet. Yeah, that's honestly, sadly, the reality is that, especially with like leaks that are going on, sometimes like the best way to go and avoid spoilers or to avoid leaks is to just just take a break from social media, that you have to take some time outside of that. I mean, thankfully, thankfully, I only just post on Instagram. I honestly don't go and check things out there from time. I don't really go and check out Instagram, mainly because I know it could be its own toxic sludge in there. So that's why, honestly, like, I was thankful, I was lucky to just avoid that. So yeah, like honestly, it's one of the, like, with leaks, I think the only silver lining from it is that it does encourage people to use less social media. Like, honestly, it provides a very good reason, like, leaks are happening for this movie I want to go and see. All right, well, time to close that and go touch grass. I mean, touching grass is actually a very efficient way of avoiding leaks and spoilers. So keep that in mind. All right, let's see here. Oh boy, here we go. Everybody grab a bucket, mop, and call the plumber. Seriously, these leaks are getting out of hand. It's starting to become a ridiculous trend. By the way, I did catch a bit of it on YouTube when you were discussing it. You're not really missing much. It's just characters lining up, preparing for battle, and Miles in a fight. Still, this situation is serious when even shows like SpongeBob and Spider-Man aren't safe from leaks, ruining the surprises and damaging the furniture. Yeah, exactly, man. That, I want to thank you guys, honestly, because at least now I know it's not just me, at least like now, like we are aware that there is a serious leak problem that's going on, and pretty much nothing is safe at that point. All right, so with that said, we're going to go on to our next break. And when we do come back, we're going to go and talk about a lawsuit that is going on. But there is an interesting twist to this one, because unlike the other animation-related lawsuits, this one, well, let's just say it's a little bit dumber. So stay tuned after this, and I'll tell you what I mean. Welcome back. Now, on our next story, we got a little bit of courtroom drama that is going on. Now, if you're an animation fan, then there's a very good chance that you have heard this kind of story. There is an artist or someone who's like an aspiring filmmaker, writer, or what have you, like a small artist who would step in and would make a big accusation saying that a popular animated franchise was their idea in the first place, and the company stole it from them, which is why they would try to go and sue the company for copyright infringement, to go and say that it is their idea. They were the first ones to think of it in the first place, and what that company did is just stole it from them and heavily profit off of it. But as we all know, all of these stories just end in failure for that artist for not providing enough evidence if they actually did steal that idea. Now, this one is actually a little bit different because it is for copyright infringement, but it does have a bit of a different twist to it where the reasons, well, it's not like the typical ones where the artist would go and say, that's my idea. And what I'm talking about is K-Pop Demon Hunters. Yes, someone is actually suing K-Pop Demon Hunters, or more specifically, they are suing Netflix and a few other companies that are associated with K-Pop Demon Hunters for copyright infringement. However, the reason is actually a lot more different because it is the Christian metal band Demon Hunter who is actually suing Netflix because of the K-Pop Demon Hunters name. So to go into more specifics, to go and read you from my source here on Rolling Stone, it states here, Demon Hunter, a band that formed in 2000, has filed a lawsuit against Netflix and other entities associated with the production of K-Pop Demon Hunters. It seems they're worried their fans, or perhaps K-pop fans, might confuse the Oscar and Golden Globe winning animated phenomenon with their band of Christian metal. They want a judge to tell Netflix to stop using the phrase K-Pop Demon Hunters in music releases, on DVDs, bumper stickers, wall calendars, underclothes, and live events amongst other items. So yes, Demon Hunter is trying to make sure that they will stop you from getting your K-Pop Demon Hunters underwear, to make sure that it doesn't say K-Pop Demon Hunters in whatever undies you may want to go and use. No, but anyways, basically the main reason why they want to go and sue them as a why they want to go and sue Netflix for K-Pop Demon Hunters is mainly because of the name, that they believe they are entitled to the Demon Hunter name as part of a music band, and that Netflix should stop using it for K-Pop Demon Hunters to try to avoid the confusion. The lawsuit itself even claims right over here, simply put, Netflix is no more entitled to use the mark K-Pop Demon Hunters than it would be to launch a recording artist, live touring show, and merchandise under the marks K-Pop Metallica, K-Pop U2, or K-Pop Black Sabbath. The suit seeks to have the judge rule to prevent the use of the aforementioned by directing the U.S. Marshal to seize and impound anything with those words on it. It also seeks damages for attorney fees. K-Pop Demon Hunters subsumes the entire Demon Hunter mark, the suit claims. So from there, they have also added that because of K-Pop Demon Hunters, believe it or not, they actually stated that there have been some incidents where there were people who did buy either albums, merchandise, or even tickets to go to concerts of Demon Hunter in the hopes that, oh, they're going to go and check out a K-Pop Demon Hunters concert, but were disappointed when they discovered, oh no, it's a bunch of dudes that are singing Christian metal. So they even included, I believe it was, I believe, yes, this part right over here, to which it says, they also allege that the band has suffered from reverse confusion. Essentially, they believe K-Pop Demon Hunters fans are buying Demon Hunter albums and are disappointed to hear their band instead of K-pop. Plus, they're worried that people would think that Netflix's millions of dollars in marketing have saturated the market to the point that fans might think that they're biting off the K-pop brand. To support their claim of confusion, the suit includes references to emails from parents who bought tickets to Demon Hunter concerts for their 5- and 6-year-old children, thinking it would be K-pop, but now want their money back. I was way too excited and didn't pay attention, the parent quoted in the lawsuit said. I spent almost $500 on the tickets because I wanted my girls to have a great view of their very first concert, and I really messed up. So all this to go and pretty much highlight that what they ultimately want from Netflix is to stop them from using the K-Pop Demon Hunters name, because the Christian metal band called dibs on Demon Hunter. And they even stated that legally, they say that they're the ones who actually issued the dibs on the Demon Hunter name. In which it says here, though it may seem unlikely people would confuse the omnipresent Golden with any of Demon Hunter's bountiful #1 charting Christian rock hits like The Last One Alive and Driving Nails, the lawsuit details numerous of instances where they claim a consumer could be disappointed by stumbling on the wrong thing. At stake is Demon Hunter's registered trademark for their band name, which the group's company, Hyde Lane, has owned in various forms since 2001. The Patent and Trademark Office canceled the mark in February 2025 due to an inadvertent failure to timely file the required Section 8 and 9 declaration, but the suit claims they refiled it in December. So that's ultimately the major thing, that they believe that there can only be one Demon Hunter band, and that is the Christian metal group. So instead, they want Netflix to replace the KPop Demon Hunters name. And that, I gotta say right there, is honestly ridiculous. Like this, okay, I'm gonna go and say right now, I know that I am not a legal expert, okay? Like, I'm not here to go and provide any legal advice or any legal knowledge or whatever on this entire situation. So I cannot go, I'm not going to be like legal eagle and I'll go and like factor in what is it that legally can go right or legally can go wrong in this situation. I'm just going to go and provide my perspective on this whole thing. And I gotta say that this is just absolutely stupid what these people are doing. I personally believe that this is even dumber than any of those regular lawsuits where an artist would go and accuse a company of saying they stole my idea and I want to be compensated for it. And we have heard like a bunch of those ridiculous stories, rather it be for stuff like with Monsters Inc. or Moana or anything like that. But this one right over here, the fact that they're pissed off that there's a more popular band that has Demon Hunters in the title. Yeah, honestly, it's a matter of unfortunate circumstances where they have no one else to blame but themselves in this case. And the thing is right over here is that, to their credit, the one thing I will say is that I do believe them that there are people who might have mistaken them for K-pop Demon Hunters, where there are those people that would impulsively go and buy tickets or albums or anything like that, and were disappointed to hear, they were disappointed to discover, oh, no way, this isn't K-pop Demon Hunters, it's just Demon Hunter. I believe that has occurred, but I think the problem more, it's those people for not actually paying attention. I don't think this is really something that you could truly blame Netflix on in this situation. I think it's more the fact that there are just that many people out there that are not smart enough to do the proper research and to go and see that those Demon Hunter tickets or those Demon Hunter albums, it's not Huntrix. It's not K-pop Demon Hunters. So from there, like, they are the ones that need to try to go and like actually pay more attention in what they are actually buying. So that's more on them than that's more on those people than it actually is Netflix's fault or anything like that. But the one thing that I will say that makes this absolutely ridiculous, the one thing that I look at this right over here, like the reason why I find this to be so dumb, it's mainly because of the Demon Hunter name. Like the fact that these people are just so entitled that they think that there can be only one Demon Hunter band in this town. Like that's the thing that ironically, I look at this lawsuit and it's the thing that it just makes me go. So yeah, I think honestly, it's just the fact that they feel like they're entitled to the Demon Hunter name. But I just gotta say, dude, it's so generic of a name. Like, am I the only one that feels like if you call your band or you call your group Demon Hunter, like, don't you think that's a little bit bland? Don't you think that's a little bit of like a generic name to go with? Just Demon Hunter? Because if we actually go and take a look at what they have said before, like when we look at their argument, when they say that, oh, what Netflix did is no different than doing something like K-pop Metallica or K-pop U2 or K-pop Black Sabbath. Okay, that is honestly a pretty dumb argument right there, because as some people have mentioned in the chat wall, number one, technically, the group's official name in the movie, like if we're going to go into technicalities, the band's name is not K-pop Demon Hunters. Yeah, sure, Netflix will go around and actually use that name to go and promote the movie and the brand and stuff like that. But when it comes to the actual band, they're not technically called K-pop Demon Hunters. In the movie, they are called Huntrix. So they already got their own unique brand within the feature, like within the context of the movie and everything. So technically, they're not called K-pop Demon Hunters. They're actually called Huntrix. And also, if we do go and take a look at like the argument he's making, like with all these things like Metallica, U2, and Black Sabbath, those are unique names that can only be associated to those bands. Like, there's no other synonyms for any of these other ones. Like, when you think of Metallica, there isn't anything else that can make you think of what is a Metallica. Metallica is the band and nothing more. And the same thing can be said with Black Sabbath as well. There ain't no other definition of a Black Sabbath, so it's only associated with the band. I'll even say, even with U2, like when you have that U and that 2 on the side, that is associated with just the band and nothing else. When it comes to Demon Hunter, however, that's just a typical name, and that's it. In fact, there are multiple things out there that have the name Demon Hunter. And this is the Wikipedia page that has several examples of things that are called Demon Hunter in pop culture. Like one example, Demon Hunters is actually a class in World of Warcraft World of Warcraft Legion. Like you could basically categorize yourself as a demon hunter. So there is that. And then speaking of games, by the way, there are some games that they call themselves Demon Hunter, like Demon Hunter's role-playing game in 2008. Sorry, not 2028. It's not coming out soon. So you got Demon Hunter's role-playing game, and you also got Akanero Demon Hunters in 2012. And even in literature, you also got a book that is literally called Queen Victoria Demon Hunter, which, by the way, side note, I just want to go and say, Netflix, Sony, if you guys are listening to this, if you're ever considering the idea of a prequel to K-pop Demon Hunters, I think you may got an idea right over here. I mean, it sounds so stupidly unhinged. I would love to see if someone would be down to go and bring that to the big screen, especially like if you can find a way to sneak in some K-pop into this. Like, who wouldn't want to see Queen Victoria dancing to K-pop? I'm just saying, folks. But yeah, anyways, yeah, you got Queen. So yeah, like this is another example, Queen Victoria Demon Hunter. So there is that. And even in terms of movies, there are numerous of there are actually multiple films that actually call themselves Demon Hunter. Like, of course, not just K-pop Demon Hunters, but on top of that, you got the 2005 Demon Hunter movie. And there's even an Indian Taiwanese action horror comedy in 2024 that is called Demon Hunters. So there are many different Demon Hunter names that are out there. And I mean, if you're going to be going after K-pop Demon Hunters, you might as well go and do the same thing with everything else. Like, why don't you also go and sue World of Warcraft? Why don't you also go and sue A.E. Murat for Queen Victoria? Like, why don't you also go and sue the other movies as well, where they call themselves Demon Hunters? Why do you, like, just because, you know, K-pop Demon Hunters is associated with a band, that doesn't mean that you would have to go after them specifically. I think ultimately, in my opinion, this is going to be a lawsuit that's going to be quickly thrown in the trash. And I think really the best course of action for Demon Hunters to go and do, I believe, is that they got to do the rebranding. Like, they have no power whatsoever in terms of making Netflix to go and push and try to completely rebrand the name of K-pop Demon Hunters. There could be a chance, maybe, but those chances are honestly very, very small. So in that regards, I believe with what the Demon Hunter Christian metal band has to do, they got to be in charge of the rebranding. They have to be the one responsible to go and change things up and to really go and highlight, hey, we're not K-pop Demon Hunters, we're just Demon Hunter. We're like a completely different thing. So maybe you got to go and change up your name. Maybe you got to go and like highlight something different. You know, like you got to do something in order to go and change things up, to go and clarify to your potential customers that you are not related to K-pop Demon Hunters whatsoever. So in terms of the rebranding and stuff like that, it's ultimately going to be up to you. But in terms of this lawsuit, yeah, I think it is dead before it even started in the first place. I would be shocked to hear if it would go anywhere further, but as is, it's honestly pretty ridiculous. All right, now with that said, it is now time I pass this down to the chat wall, and I want to go and ask you all, what do you all think about this K-pop Demon Hunters lawsuit? Do you disagree with me and you think the Demon Hunter band actually has a chance? Or do you think it's ridiculous that they would even go and sue in the first place? Let me know what you all think. All right, so that lawsuit was so laughably bonkers, even Netflix would have to vigorously defend that matter by not renaming the movie title. I had to strongly admit that the Christian metal band Demon Hunter is following the Buc-ee's suing playbook the first time, to go after Netflix and Sony Pictures Animation for stealing an idea. They're not legal experts, son. They're band members. What are you all expecting? Exactly, man. I think it's like really the big problem here is just the entitlement where they believe they own the Demon Hunter name, but they don't realize how Demon Hunter is such a generic name in the first place, where something like this, I feel like, was pretty much inevitable. If they did end up having a more unique name, like if they would go and I don't know, call themselves like I don't know, like I'm not great at naming Christian metal band names, but you know, if they would call themselves like, you know, Cross Nails or something like that, something that would be more unique, that wouldn't be much of a trouble. But in this case here, yeah, just saying Demon Hunter, there's bound to be another band that's going to go and take it and become bigger than them. Let's see now. My reaction is like, Christian rock band suing Netflix or Sony Animation just for the name Demon Hunter. Dude, it's called K-pop Demon Hunters, not Demon Hunter. Different music, genre, and theme. Anyone in the media can use Demon and Hunter, okay? As for a person who bought tickets for little girls, please do some research. This is dumb. I go back drawing and listen to my favorite K-pop songs. All right. Let's see what else we got here. Okay. All right, let's see. Okay, honestly, this isn't the fault of the band, Netflix, or anyone who worked on the film. This is the fault of the parents who didn't bother to do research because buying the tickets. Like, concert tickets have gotten so expensive, I should hope if you buy tickets to a concert, you better do flippin' research. I think the band or their record label is stupid to sue Netflix. The concert goers are the ones at fault for wasting their money or on the wrong music. $500 for concert tickets. Yeah, honestly, again, I think it's more on their part really, it's more on Demon Hunter's responsibility to go and make that major clarification that they are not K-pop Demon Hunters. And yeah, unfortunately, there are going to be those people who are absolutely stupid where they are going to go and actually do this again and again and again, where they're going to go and like not realize that they bought the wrong thing. So in that regards, like, I think it's more of a matter of either rebranding or making a clarification before purchasing like albums or ticket sales or anything like that. You know, like it's just something that they got to go and they just got to go and quickly do an update so that they won't have to they won't have to deal with that problem. It would probably just take a day or two and that would be solved. You don't have to go out of your way and sue Netflix just to make this entire mess. All right. I think I got to read one more comment because honestly, I feel like a bathroom emergency is coming. Sorry about that, folks. As a Christian, this is why people make fun of us so much. We do the most cringe stuff. It is ironic that he wants to own the name Demon Hunter, so I guess the old prophet and preachers can't fight against demons. Just wait until he finds out about Demon Slayer. Oh boy, that would be a whole thing in itself right there. But anyways, yeah, I gotta go and take a bathroom break right now. Sorry for cutting the chat wall segment short on this. But anyways, we got one more story to go through, and when we do come back, I need to go and tell you the latest addition to what is considered the worst animated features ever. But funny enough, it is also right now or possibly the most celebrated worst movie out there. So stay tuned for that. And now, everyone, it is now time that we are going to go and conclude this episode with the grand finale. And before I go and fully get into this grand finale, I want to go and excuse me, folks. But anyways, as I was saying, before I go into what our final story of this episode is going to be, there is something that I like to go and present to you all, and that is with this clip right here.
这是你的爸爸。这是你的儿子牛来，他可是自己找到这儿来的。
Now, you might be wondering, what the fridge did I present to you here? What was that thing in the first place? And for those of you listening, I just presented a whole bunch of weird computer generated cows or something like that. Something that just looks massively off and not to mention massively confusing. It looks like a spiritual successor to Joshua and the Promised Land. So what the fridge did I just go and expose to you all here? Well, believe it or not, this is actually the latest animation sensation in China, and its name is Niu Lai, which there are different translations. Some say that the translation of Niu Lai is either the arrival of the ox, or some say it's the cow is coming. But either way, people know this as Niu Lai. And yeah, as you have seen, the quality of the animation is like, how can I put this? It's well, saying that it's unfinished would actually be quite a nice term, like a nice way to go and put it. This is like a bar even below what we have gotten with Video Brinquedo. Well, the thing is with Niu Lai is that this is the movie that it was made by only 2 people, or at least the grand majority of it was only done by 2 people, which is a mother and son duo. And I believe they've never made a movie before, let alone an animated feature. I could be wrong there, but Chadwell, you could go and clarify me if that actually is the case. But the point is that this was done by a mother and her son, and they actually spent 5 years in order to go and bring this movie to life. And not to mention that, well, they didn't really put that much money into it. Even the animation software they would use was actually just free software. And they say that if there was a budget, I've heard conflicting reports. There were some that said that it was either just $1,000, and there were others that claimed that it was only $200. Yes, not 200 million, not 200,000, literally just $200. And if you're listening or watching this, there's a very good chance that even you can afford to go and make a Niu Lai level movie. And this is not even to mention, by the way, that one thing that Niu Lai doesn't even have is promotional material. Like, they did absolutely nothing in terms of the marketing. So they didn't release a trailer. There was no press tour. There was nothing to go and tell people, hey, Niu Lai is coming. They didn't even make a poster. In fact, if a movie theater would go and present Niu Lai, well, then the staff there have to do a little bit of an arts and crafts project where they have to make their own Niu Lai poster. And this is just one example. If you go and look it up, in fact, actually, I will do the look it up for you. There is actually like a whole collection of Niu Lai posters that people would go and ultimately create. And hold on, I just want to go and see, like, okay, like I do see some over here and they actually don't look that bad. Like, there are some where they actually made some legitimate art out of it. Like, this actually does look pretty impressive. But what I mean specifically is let's see. Yeah. All right. I think I do. Okay. I think I found a section right over here. Like, here's one example. Here's someone, what is it? Oh, no, this is AI. Sorry about that. Okay. No. All right. No, I don't think I found anything where they would have something. Okay, well, actually, technically, they do have an official poster now. Like, this is the real thing. But beforehand, there was a whole trend where people would go and draw their own Niu Lai poster. So that's basically the best that I could go and describe on the matter. Oh, actually, hold on a sec. Someone has given me the Wikipedia page of Niu Lai, and okay, no, they don't have any other examples. Never mind. But anyways, going back to the whole discussion about Niu Lai. So yeah, this is a movie that is that's only made by 2 people, a mom and her son. It has virtually no budget. That is either just $1,000 or $200, and no promotional material whatsoever. So it should come as no surprise that when it was first released, the first 10 days, it was an absolute failure. In which, to go into my source here on The Guardian, it actually states, released back on August 5th, the film reportedly made just 7,700 won, which is just over $1,100 in US money. and that is just in its first 10 days of screening, with fewer than 300 people nationwide buying a ticket. It did not have any promotional tour, pre-release publicity, or even a trailer. So from there, on its first 10 days, it looks like it was already dead in the water. And this is not even to mention the amount of hate that it received from critics. So you can imagine that critics were just blasting the movie hard, that they were full on despising Niu Lai and saying that it's a disgrace to Chinese cinema and all that kind of stuff. So you can imagine that critics were absolutely harsh and show no mercy to something like Niu Lai. But then something happened, and that is the internet. Because when the internet discovered Niu Lai, oh boy, did they fell in love with it. Like, this is something that ultimately, it turned out to be so bad that the internet found a way to make it go completely around and to make it say that it's actually good. In fact, from there, when audiences discovered it, when the internet found out about Niu Lai, they actually turned it into a viral meme. And they were just embracing the terrible craftsmanship that is within. And what ultimately happened is that because of its newfound popularity on the internet, more and more and more people went to go and actually see it. And that's when suddenly its box office numbers just went higher and higher and higher and higher. And to go and continue, it even states right over here, from discussions online about how bad the film was, turned it into a meme, which drove hordes of film fans to the cinemas. It has now made more than 14.9 million won, according to the movie trafficking site Maoyan, making it one of the top performing films of the year. And that's one of the things that it is currently highlighting, because right now in Chinese theaters, as I'm recording this, Niu Lai is unironically competing against the top Hollywood films right now with The Odyssey and Spider-Man Brand New Day. I mean, of course, those two films have made much more money in China right now. Like, they've already been released. They've already gotten a lot of fanfare and stuff like that. But right now, even if it's already been a few weeks for films like The Odyssey and Spider-Man Brand New Day, Niu Lai is showing that it could rank up with those guys as well. So this actually kind of turned out to be something like, I know some people might be offended by this comparison, but this kind of turned out to be something like what we have seen with the Amazing Digital Circus, The Last Act, where it actually did some very impressive box office numbers for this little indie animated movie. And I mean, yes, Niu Lai can actually be considered a indie animated film, especially with the fact that it's just made by a mother and her kid, her son, essentially. So from there, the big it's kind of like, I just want to go and also comment right now that it is rather shocking to see how a movie can actually find that newfound fame, that ultimately Niu Lai right now has become the animation equivalent of The Room, where the main reason why people would go and unironically watch something like Niu Lai is to go and have fun with it in an ironic way. Like, people who go in, they know that the movie is not good. They know that the animation is absolutely terrible, but that's part of the fun of the experience. It's to go and riff on it. It's to go and have a good laugh. It's to see all the different crazy scenarios that are being represented in Niu Lai. That's where people are having so much fun with it. And not to mention, now the fact that Niu Lai is actually making millions of dollars at the box office. Hold on a sec. But as I was saying, the fact that Niu Lai is now making millions, this actually does highlight that much like with what we have seen last year with Nausea 2, Niu Lai is now making box office history. It's actually making movie history, in fact, because keep in mind, the budget that it has is virtually non-existent, with either just $1,000 or just $200. Either way, this actually makes Niu Lai one of the most profitable movies in history. And we are legit talking about ever. Like, there's already been a lot of discussions about how a movie like Obsession, for example, that is made on a low budget, but it was able to go and make like hundreds of millions of dollars at the box office. So the profit that it got in return is like multiple times over. But in the case of Niu Lai, like, even though it's not making like the same incredible numbers like what we have seen with either Obsession or even like the billion-dollar hits like Odyssey or Spider-Man Brand New Day, Niu Lai has managed to turn a profit compared to its to its budget like literally thousands of times over. Like, you basically multiply that by literally thousands. And in terms of that kind of multiplication, that is something that is considered to be absolutely unheard of. Like, basically taking those kinds of ridiculous numbers, and then you start to see it, even if it's just doing okay by movie box office standards, it still did incredibly well. And that's why, just like with how Nausea 2 is one of the biggest box office hits in history, we're going to hear how Niu Lai has made movie history and box office history with that kind of success right there. And there's also another thing that is worth mentioning about Niu Lai, because believe it or not, a part of Niu Lai's success is mainly because it was made by a mother and a son, and it was not made with AI. So crazy enough, this freaking weird looking cow has now become the Chinese icon of fighting against AI. Because there are people who unironically go and actually bought a ticket to go and see Niu Lai as a way of protest, that they actually wanted to go and actually tell the public that they would unironically go and support a bad movie like Niu Lai, because it is pretty obvious that only a person can go and craft visuals like that. Then they would to go and support AI slop. Because I've heard in China, apparently AI slop is actually a lot more prominent in China than it even is in some place like North America and even in Europe. So in that regards, the Chinese people who are against AI, they kind of used Niu Lai as a symbol of their retaliation against AI, where no matter how bad the quality of a project is, as long as it is fully handcrafted by people, they will go and fully support it instead of spending their money on something like AI. And that is honestly such a strangely admirable feat that those people have done, because trying to look at how animation fans are over here in North America, or when it comes to Western animation fans, I don't know if they would have the courage to go and actually pull off something like that, where they would take their values of how animation should be and set that aside to actually do something that would be unconventional for them for the sake of fighting against AI. Because as we all know, right now, the cartoon community is pretty much more unhinged than it has ever been before. I mean, it's at the point where right now, they're going out of their way to throw a temper tantrum over the Bluey movie because they're not okay with the fact that it's going to be a CG film. And some of them would even go out of their way to go and do their bullying and harassment tactics, thinking that if they pull off the same kind of moves as the Sonic the Hedgehog movie, then they'll ultimately get what they want, and they'll have the Bluey movie look like how they want it to go and look. So that already is a prominent example of how the cartoon community has gone absolutely unhinged. So they're still massively stuck in their animation is cinema mindset, and that's the thing that's making me doubt if they would go and pull something off like this. In fact, here's another very good example. Like, let's go and consider this, because right now, a movie that the cartoon community decided that they want to go and really hate, or apparently a bunch of fandoms decided that they really want to go and hate, is Lesbian Space Princess. Why? I'm not 100% sure, but they decided they want to go and hate. It's pretty much the latest animated movie that people are just jumping on the bandwagon and just going after it, in which you could tell that most people haven't even seen. I mean, if there are those that claim that Lesbian Space Princess is a series, then that's already a major sign that they haven't actually watched the movie itself, and they just want to go and desperately bandwagon. But anyways, let's go and take Lesbian Space Princess, for example. And I know for a fact that it is a movie that has no AI whatsoever. Would the cartoon community be willing to set their differences aside with, taking their hatred for Lesbian Space Princess, put that on the side, and even taking their whole mindset of animation and cinema, would they go and also take that on the side? And would they go and actually support Lesbian Space Princess as a way to protest against AI? Would they also take action to go and say, I would rather support this bad movie than I would to go and support AI? That's the thing that I'm rather curious about with the cartoon community right now. I mean, I could be wrong, and I'm sure that there are probably a handful of people that would easily do so, no question. But I don't know, I feel like I would doubt, with how the cartoon community is, especially with their animation to cinema mentality, I don't know if they would pull off that same move like what Chinese people have done with Niu Lai. Even if it is something like Niu Lai, I don't know if the cartoon community would want to go and do it. If anything, they would rather just wait for someone like Saberspark to go and make a review about it, to go and slam and shame the feature, saying that it's terrible and all that kind of stuff. Then they would want to actually go and unironically support it for the sake of combating against AI. So I just thought I want to go and highlight that, because it's not every day when you see people unironically elevating and supporting a bad movie like Niu Lai for a cause like combating against AI. Just thought I would go and immediately mention. But yeah, overall, though, I gotta say, with the story of Niu Lai, I will admit, I haven't seen the movie itself, so I cannot go and really comment on it. But from the clips that I've seen, of course, it absolutely looks terrible. And I do get why people say, like, oh, this is the worst animated movie ever. But a part of me is honestly rooting for Niu Lai. Honestly, it really feels like this. Honestly, feels like one of the most underrated underdog stories of an animated movie that has beaten all the odds to go and ultimately become a massive success, and not to mention an anti-AI icon. So honestly, there's a part of it that is unironically cool with seeing this success of Niu Lai, because I feel like it could be like a China only thing. Like, you're never going to see anyone else fully elevate Niu Lai the way that they did, and kind of turn that into a summer event. In fact, like, some people would even go as far and say that in terms of their support, that hold on, I'm trying to see oh yeah, like, so there are some comments that people would go and make that, it's an experience that is indeed worth it. I'm trying to see where it is. I don't know if it's in, oh, no. Okay. Yeah. So, like, there are these comments right over here. where there are some people that, okay, no, hold on. It actually starts right over here, including with the AI commentary, where it does say right over here that they are sharing clips praising Niu Lai's handcrafted method, a reference to the poor animation quality as proof that its creators did not use AI. That's some serious craftsmanship, a Weibo user wrote. Another social media user called it pure handmade and the biggest dark horse of the summer movie season. Others saying that they are rooting for the movie because they are desperately hoping for a bullish stock market, a reference to the fact that the word bull and cow share the same character in Chinese. If the index reaches 4,000 tomorrow, I will go to the cinema to support this movie. It's a terrible movie, but has a great name. Another comment linking the movie to stock investment. So that's also another reason. Apparently, it's because it's related to stocks that now that people want to go and see Niu Lai. But there's another one, though. Another person commented that honestly, yeah, okay, it's right over here. I think it's the best way to go and summarize Niu Lai, to which it states, you may regret for 80 minutes if you watch it, but if you don't, you'll regret it for life. So that is the big thing with Niu Lai. So with that said, now I would like to go and pass this on to the chat wall. And I would love to know what you all think about Niu Lai and the big success that it has gotten in China. I don't have a lot of time left, unfortunately, but I'll make the most at reading the comments to see what people will say about this. All right, so for a non-Pixar computer animated feature film, especially when it's made only by a third of the cost of a new pair of headphones and gave the mother and son enough money to buy a new car, in my opinion, it will now stand as the 3D computer animation equivalent of The Room. This is why I took the liberty of naming the grand finale pin the story name, You're Tearing Me Apart, Niu Lai. Also, I wonder if this unexpected success could prompt a creation of an English dub. Okay, I'm gonna go and say this right now. If Niu Lai would get an English dub, I'd be so down to go and do it. Like, honestly, I would be more than happy to go and provide my voice on something like this, on something like freaking Niu Lai. Like, honestly, it feels like it would be just a fun thing to go and do. So again, like, if anybody who would be in charge of doing a Niu Lai English dub, let me know. I am available. I would be so down to go and do it. All right, let's see now. This movie is to be a meme now. At least we have Gameoverse memes, though. The movie itself has absolutely no advertising whatsoever due to almost non-existent budget. However, the ridicule that the movie received indirectly served as such due to people wanting to see it in theaters to see what it really is about. With its dull surprise voice acting, an off-model CGI character made on a budget by a mother and son duo, I even saw the meme of Niu Lai will return in Avengers Doomsday. Very nice. I honestly never heard of this movie before, aside from Saber Sparks' video on it. Oh, wow. Okay. Wow, Saber's already quick, man. I knew that this feels like something that Saber would immediately go and do. I didn't expect that he would immediately go and make a video about it now. And honestly, while it definitely looks bad, I can't believe how well it's doing. With how it's becoming a meme to the point where people ironically want to watch this, not to mention it was only made by a mother and son, on top of not using AI, it really is the animation equivalent of The Room, where it's so bad it's actually entertaining. Oh man, it would also make for a great AniMat watches. Like if ever like there's a way I could go and check it out, like at least if there's like a sub version of it and like you get a good quality version that is globally available, I'd be down to check it out and do an AniMat watches of that. Let's see now. First, disregarding how bizarre that a mom and son with free software managed to make something for cinemas, what is wrong with critics tearing into a passion project made by a family? Seriously, you'd think they look at stuff audiences would have to spend actual money on. But I, for one, would fully embrace a low-budget, cheesy labor of love made by a human, especially a kid. I don't know if it's a kid, actually. I think it's like I think it's either like a 20 or 30-year-old man and his mother, but anyways, who's genuinely trying to develop his talent over anything that takes no work and just steals from other artists. Yeah, exactly, dude. All right, I think I'll read one more and then we're going to go and cap this off. AI is becoming more and more problematic where we're now looking at bad animated movies fondly. It's refreshing seeing Niu Lai getting a lot of love and attention because you don't need to have good animation to prove that humans are involved with the film that they've made and it will have heart. I watched the whole video on Saberspark. I watched the whole on Saberspark's stream a while back and it's a beautiful disaster, I could tell you. In all seriousness, it's so great that a bad movie comes in to prove that AI sucks. Exactly, man. It's better to have something like Niu Lai than it is to have AI. And with that said, folks, that should do it for this episode of AniMat's Crazy Cartoon Cast. Thank you so much for joining me on this one, and don't forget to stay tuned on the next episode for more craziness that may be in store. If you guys enjoyed your time here, then don't forget to go and subscribe to me, whether it be on YouTube or on Twitch at AniMat Live. And at the same time, if you guys are listening to this to whatever podcast service you're listening to, whether it be on Spotify, Apple, Google, and many more, don't forget to go and follow me there too. And with that said, I'd like to say thank you so much for listening, everyone. Thank you so much for watching. And until next time, see you later, dudes.